When there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them. They need you.
Welcome to Diddy Game coverage here on Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, live with It's Kim, and we just got through day one of the Diddy trial. Sadly, none of this is televised, guys. There's not even photos of Diddy that we can see. It's incredibly frustrating. On top of that, it's incredibly hard to get in that courtroom. You have to camp overnight or pay line holders hundreds of dollars to get in. The whole system is so whack. It's so wrong. I don't understand how this is happening. Why can the media and the public get in, but then we can't all just see it? And then the people who get in are, unless you waited all night and really worked your butt to get in there, it's all controlled, Kim. It's terrifying. It's awful. Some of the stories I'm hearing from some people that I hope to have them call in. We also have Jaguar White potentially joining us. I've been texting with her partner there. They're obviously doing a lot of stuff, but they're trying to fit us in. So stay tuned. Hope to have Jaguar calling in, as well as BJ make an appearance and some others that were there. If not, either way, we still have your recap for you. We're going to try to do these every day. That's what the goal was. And kudos, shout out to that surprise witness who I was watching her live, because Kim, we talked about it. I just can't sit there for these hours and watch tweets all day. I'd rather do it, and prep it on our downtime. But kudos to BJ who was doing it, a couple others, but shout out to BJ. She'll be coming. She's been streaming so long. But we hope to give you recaps every day if you guys want them. At the end of every trial day, Kim or I will be here together or whatever to give you sort of a recap of the biggest events. And if there's not a lot of big events, then we may just give it to you the next day. Stay tuned. We'll see how this goes. But I appreciate you guys who've been tuning in. This may be a longer video. This may be trimmed. I don't know how this show's going to go. We're sort of going to be fluid, right, Kim?
Yeah.
But all that said, we may be stopping at certain points. I may stop you, Kim, as guests pop in. So you never know what's going to happen here on the Popcorn Planet recaps that we do. But let's get into it, because you started giving us sort of your thoughts. But I want to go through some of these notes and everything else that are here, because there's a lot to go through. Let me just make sure I've closed this. Why can't I?
I will say to everyone before anybody asks questions, because in the past when we have done trial recaps, we've always had documents that you guys can see where we're getting our information. I don't have that public right now, but I will say I looked at information today from, shout out to Inner City Press, the GOAT, that BJ was also following today, as well, Washington Post, NBC, the Daily Mail. There were other ones as well. I was trying to look at as many sources as possible and seeing where there were similarities in the reporting to be able to tell what was really making an impact, but also to see where there were little details that maybe one reporter got that somebody else didn't. So I've tried to bring all of that together into what we're going to do today. So I hope that that's cool, and we're going to go from there.
Yeah, and we're going to try to... I'm currently, Kim can see what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to show this to you, like right out the gate in a video, but this was kind of the top line story I keep seeing all over, which Kim warned me as well was sort of a big takeaway as for shocking, revealing moments. Whoop, there it goes. I had it there and then it's gone. Shocking sort of moments from it was that, yes, this escort, this worker, PP'd. Yep. Look, it's just like, the level of grossness on this trial is a lot, and trigger warnings. But what I noticed from what I did catch, Kim, and we're going to start going through the statements as everyone's getting in the room there. And I talked about it when I was stopped in BJ's. There is a lot of sort of prepping for what's to come. You could hear the defense sort of immediately get to the Cassie video, like, you want to hear from us first. And then they were trying to sort of soften the blow, if you will, of, yeah, there is this tape, but it was love. And they're trying to get ahead of a lot of stuff that they know. And then even the prosecution had to do it a few times as well. Both sides clearly trying to, tiptoe around clear problems. But I would argue Diddy has more problems to face. And in order to do that, Diddy's main argument, correct me if I'm wrong, is it was consensual. We're grown adults. He's a swinger. He likes to have it. They're going all out with he's a sexual guy. He likes to do this sort of stuff. Everybody there was aware, complicit, consented, was on board, was using the substances as well. This wasn't a crime. This was a party. That's what Diddy does. And so that's the sort of scary part of this all, Kim, where it's like, will they get away? We're now worried about Jane Doe 3 we don't know if they've been able to secure her, but now they sort of have to let the side know, is she going to show up? Is she not? And if she bails, was that Diddy stopping her, Kim? Was that just her own scaredness from like, I don't want to get involved in this anyway, even though I said I would? There's a lot of pieces that could fall apart. So we are going to try to follow this the best we can because a lot of this stuff could go south. And I want to make sure we all know why if it did. Hopefully it doesn't, because I think we're all aligned, even just from that tape alone. This man is indeed a monster. So let's break it through. Let's go through. We're going to go through sort of the opening statements as you have the notes here. Government's opening was Emily Johnson painted Combs as a powerful businessman who used his fame and power to various people for decades and whose inner circle of bodyguards and other employees helped him commit and cover up the crimes. Prosecution focused on alleged victims Cassie and Jane, who are both expected to testify. Notice there wasn't a third Jane, which there was supposed to be. And that's a big worry, Kim, is it not? I mean, they had 3 star witnesses and now we only have 2. Does that concern you?
It does a little bit. I think it is a bit scary to think about why. It's hard to ignore the subtext in this, especially when we look at Diddy's history and things that he has been accused of. There also will be another witness coming in that will be important, and I believe that this is it's a fake name, it's a mask name. Mia, who was apparently Diddy's assistant, is also going to be a part of this, and she is claiming that she was SA'd by Diddy as well. So we will end up having 3, possibly 4 if this Jane Doe can be located. I want to stress with you guys that when it comes to that case, from what we've heard, they've had difficulty reaching her attorney as well. So it's just, the whole thing is very unsettling, and that's why there's so much press about it, because it just is very, very concerning. So the
Indeed.
case does really revolve around these women and what happened. And it does look like the overarching theme of this is they were allegedly, according to the prosecution, they were forced into these acts. They were videotaped while doing them. Those videotapes were then held as blackmail to have them continue. There also were these very demented, unhealthy, toxic relationships between Diddy and these women. And I think this is where there's going to be discussion about coercion. There's going to be discussion about power dynamics. There's going to be discussion just about emotional manipulation and why people stay. I think this is going to be a very big conversation through this case, and we're already starting to see it of, well, they could have left at any time. That's all fine and well. But in the beginning of the prosecution's opening statement, they detail a moment where Diddy was looking for Cassie. Multiple outlets used the word hunted for her when she was not there. The fear with these women is real. There also is going to be a conversation about whether or not they consented. Something that the prosecution got into is that these women were given substances that aroused them, but they were out of their mind, essentially. And things were happening to them that they did not want to happen. They wanted protection to be used at points that didn't happen. All those types of things. So this is kind of what the prosecution was trying to get ahead of. They're trying to fight this dialogue that is going to come out likely of, oh, they wanted it. That's going to be huge, I think, through this case.
Yeah, it's a disgusting argument, but if that's all he's got. And yes, as you sort of teased a bit of that, how a lot of words I can't say. All the worst things you could do towards them is they're accusing Diddy of doing, pleasuring and then videotaping. He called them freak-offs, took place in dimly lit hotel rooms set up with supplies by Combs' employees. He used the video footage then to blackmail Ventura. In her own right was signed to his record label. He told her he could destroy her career by releasing videos of her performing these acts on dozens and dozens of performers, said the prosecution. He had the power to ruin her life. That's going to be damning testimony and damning evidence. We know this. She has never spoken out, and she's going to be for the first time here while we got her lawsuit for a day before he quickly settled to try to make that go away. I imagine her testimony is going to be brutal towards Combs, and his defense of it was all love is not going to get him very far. He asserted that all the activity referenced in his indictment was consensual. This case is not about a celebrity's private actual preferences, adding that the acts were coercive and criminal. In one alleged instance, Combs made an escort pee on Cassie, even more so than grossly. In another, she OD'd with substances given to her by Combs while she had an open wound on her face from being, coerced. Prosecution said Combs' alleged activities towards Ventura was the tip of the iceberg of his illegal behavior, which also included arson, kidnapping of his own employees. Prosecution referenced other victims, including Mia, as you said, personal assistant whom Combs allegedly essayed, and an escort who says he witnessed Combs doing this to Ventura, often.
Yeah.
Now, the defense's opening statement, Kim, here's where they made their argument, right? The defense's opening statement said, well, it's voluntary adult choices that the government is attempting to twist into trafficking. This is about Sean Combs' private, personal ex-life, said Combs' Tenny. Is it Tenny? Tenny?
I think it's Tenny.
Tenny Garagos. The government has no place in this man's bedroom. She opened the statement by saying this case is about love and jealousy and money. Here's the quote directly from Intercity Press. This case is about love and jealousy and money. They are trying to turn it into a racketeering case. It will not work. You are the jury. You will evaluate the witnesses. And finally, the story can come out. This case isn't about what you heard on the news. Sean Combs is fascinating. He grew up in Harlem and built lawful business. She's trying, man. He worked for it. Oh, God. He created a culture. I know what kind of culture he created.
I'm a savage. Oh, I'm a savage. Whatever I want, I'm going to get.
That's the kind of culture he created. He
just
also
want a
produced
voice.
music that changed a generation, Kim.
I
Let's
know.
let him
I just
go.
want a voice. This whole thing is so ludicrous. The only thing I can do is laugh because when it happened the first time, I was just like in complete disbelief and so upset. This goes on and on and on. She talks about university.
Look at that. Can you humor me? Because this is pretty
Yeah,
funny.
go for it.
Music change. Witnesses will share with you that he is a fascinating person. That is the best they could do. Witnesses will share he's a fascinating person, and people are drawn to him. If you wanted to climb in music, apparel, or beverages, you wanted to be around Sean Combs. That seems like a bad thing. They're admitting he had a lot of power.
You're admitting that this man had mass power and that these women would have reason to be absolutely terrified.
Yeah, and you wanted to be around him. He gave people opportunities to work at his companies. And then clearly he could have the opportunity ripped away if you didn't do what he wants. He had a vision that few had. He's like Steve Jobs, Kim. That's what it is. The witnesses mostly loved him. The text messages will show that. Oh, God. He is a 55-year-old man. He is going to be Sean Combs. I am Terry Garagos. I'm honored to represent him. Oh, God, girl.
Yep.
What you would do for the money. Oh, I mean, I guess there's just a certain amount of money where you will publicly say you are honored to represent him. Wow.
Okay. So
the woman that's literally all she's there for, Kim, is to be, don't get me, sorry, but I'm going to say what it is. Diddy wants a female lawyer there to tell the jury, I am okay with him. I'm a woman and I believe him. Don't you agree? Isn't this awful?
The next two tweets, all I can do is ring my shame bell. How dare you say you are honored and then say the next things that you do?
Oh,
It is
shame it away. Here we
disgusting.
go. This case is about, the only people in this courtroom who will tell you about racketeering are the prosecutors. There was no conspiracy. This case is about Sean Combs' private life. The government has no business in that. These hardworking individuals were educated from Harvard to Howard University. He has a temper. Oh, does he? Let's hear it.
Savage. I'm a savage. Oh, I'm a savage. Whatever I want, I'm going to get.
Oh, well, yeah, he gets violent. Okay, he's not proud of that. We own that. Oh, God. This is what I was talking about, getting ahead of it. They have to admit, well, yeah, we told you he was violent, but, just a little bit of violence. He sometimes gets so jealous or angry, he is out of control. But I am proud to represent him.
I am
You will hear
honored.
it.
I am
You will hear that he
honored.
lied to his girlfriends. You may think he's a jerk or mean, but he's not tried for that. He's tried for running a racketeering enterprise. This is DV. DV is not sex trafficking. I love how they're like, look, he did DV. You can't put him away for that, even though he did it.
No.
But, that's not what this is about. Even though,
I am
that's past.
It's just the ridiculousness of Tenny literally being like, this man is guilty of DV. This man gets so angry and jealous that he gets completely out of control. He's done a lot of bad things, but he's fascinating, and I'm honored to represent him.
A lot of people are what is the word? Drawn to him. A lot of people are drawn to him, Kim, and they all just are jealous and angry, and they want his money. He had been charged with DV. We would not be sitting through an 8-week trial because he'd be guilty. He'd be guilty. And that is a criminal offense. So he is a criminal. Thank you for acknowledging that. I'm glad she got that out of the way. Yes, he's a criminal of DV. We're not here to defend his DV. He did the DV, but had statute of limitations. But this 8-week trial isn't about that. He is not guilty of these crimes. As the trial goes on, we're going to take it on accountability. We will not shy away. Sean Combs had a bit of a different sex life. The alleged victims were all getting something from him. Oh, God. They are adults. They, too, must take on responsibility for their lives, as he does for his. A free choice has pros and cons. What? You will evaluate these women. Oh, God.
Yep.
They made free choices every day for years. Ask yourself, what are all the ways this individual had the ability to make these choices? Ask, what is this person getting? Sometimes they want... It may differ. Jealousy drove choices of the victims. Combs never married, but he is a many-woman man. Oh, I love this guy. He's such a nice guy.
I know.
This is really way to set up your client. He is always in multiple relationships. You know, he was always not honest. He drove a primal jealousy. This is the opening. I'm dying, BJ. I hope you get in because I want to. If you're watching, I know you're getting your snack and take your break, but I'm dying to hear your thoughts on specifically for this crowd who missed it earlier. Is this a good way to start? I mean, I guess you have to in a way, right, Kim? Because you can't deny all this. If you just completely ignore all that and then they get to, surprise the jury with it all, it's even worse than it is. But my God, primal jealousy, I would think, is not a good thing you want to be using about these choices. Sean Combs is extremely jealous. A primal jealousy. You might think it's hypocritical. They remained in multi-year relationships with him. These women were in love with him. No, they wanted the money. Maybe
or they
some
were
of them
in a
wanted
really
access.
messed up, abusive relationship where they couldn't get out because he had so much control and so much power, and he controlled all of their life. Look at Cassie. She was 19 when they started together, and he controlled her career. Then he controlled her personal life. She recorded things and he said, no, you can't release that. He had all control over her. This was not a choice. And they're trying to paint this illusion of that. And it's just driving me nuts.
Yeah. You will hear about the swinger parties and they will, alcohol, drugs were used. He's not a racketeer. This case about his relationships with Cassie and Jane. Swinger parties will testify about things that should never be heard in federal courtroom that he liked to watch. You may not like that, but you are not here to judge him for this sexual preference. A wealthy rapper paid for these women's homes and vacations. He is not charged with being a flawed individual. These women fought to be in a relationship with him. Cassie, I expect you will hear from her this week about her 11-year relationship. Combs with Kim Porter, the mother of 4 of his children. He continued with her until her death from pneumonia. Oh, yeah, right. In 2018, his fights with Cassie were about cheating. It was a toxic relationship. They loved each other. Cassie will tell you about the jealousy of Kim Porter, then Gina, the day of the hotel hallway. Jealousy was on display. And DV. Let's not forget the DV, Tanny. Violence by the elevator bank 10 years ago. You will see it later today. What Combs did is indefensible. I'm glad we agree on that. The video is not evidence of trafficking, though. Cassie walked out of his hotel room with 2 bags. Combs comes down wearing only a towel. By her hoodie, comes back around to get a phone. What causes a fight about a phone? Phones keep the secrets of infidelity. Oh, so now I know what's allowed, Kim. In Tenny's mind, oh, well, if he was taking the phone to see if she was cheating. That's why she got hit up. Yeah. As soon as he gets the phone, he sits down. He's visibly disgusted. Cassie calls security. You will hear from him later today. The guard tells him to leave the public area. You will see Cassie telling him to get back to the hotel room. They stay together 2 more years after this incident. Even in 2018, they are fighting to stay together. She saw a photo of Combs with Gina. He started with her in 2014. Cassie had a choice every single day to stay with him. That was her better choice. Until she broke up with him, she was not coerced. When she left, there were no repercussions. She ran into the arms of a physical trainer Combs had hired to train her. The only freak-offs you will see at this trial were on her phone, not his. In November, Kim passes away from pneumonia. You're right. Cassie did everything to be there for him. She flew to Georgia. This is disgusting, man.
I know.
Tanny. Wow. What a disgusting job you have. I know every person needs to have a defense, Kim. I get it. But like just reading this, I'm already like, I'm done. If a good thing for him, I'm not on the jury because he'd be toast. Her own testimony about her client is telling me what a shithead he is, which then makes me assume, well, this is what the man's character is. So when we're asking me about without reasonable doubt, there's no doubt in my mind because this man has a terrible, scummy character. You know what I mean? So to have to start it off on this level is pretty bad to go. So this goes on and on. I'll save you guys. You get the gist of it. But Kim, pretty disgusting. Yes, as Penny has to basically throw all women survivors out under the bus to say, well, they're all liars. You know, she stuck around. There was no pressure. She was not feeling anything to stick around. There were no tactics being used by Diddy to force her there, right, Kim?
It's absolutely ridiculous. And I will say to bring that point, if the tweet you have your mouse on right now, if you go one underneath it, they start to talk about Jane, the other Jane Doe. And it literally says, Jane did it for the cuddle. She wanted to make him happy. She was unable to resist him emotionally. When we're talking about power dynamics, when we're talking about manipulation, when we're talking about coercion, when we're talking about why do people stay, are you literally telling me that this Jane Doe was so desperate for love that she would take all of the that he was subjecting her to, putting her in these risky situations and everything else because she was so essentially in some ways broken that she thought this was okay and he took advantage of it? And the fact that you're saying this in an opening statement while also acknowledging that he is guilty of DV, that all of this stuff has gone, it's like, you couldn't have painted a better picture of this man. It's amazing. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing. But I mean, everybody deserves due process. I get it. But it is, I don't know how she sleeps at night knowing this. This is what she's sort of justifying. Because look, I'm hearing the argument. Okay, it's all consensual. Yes. I don't believe it though. I just don't believe all of that. You can't be in a situation like that powerful, Kim, right? To be that powerful and admit all this stuff that they have access to that he's now giving employees, etc. But then they're partaking in these parties at that level. Yeah, there's already now dynamics at play that aren't right. There's power imbalances. There's things going on. This isn't right. You don't have swinger parties with employees and workers, and the whole thing is a thing about to explode. And it has. It clearly did. And yeah, people talking about trauma bonds and so much stuff that it's clear this is incredibly problematic. So yeah, this is awful. Tenny doing her job, I guess, but it is hard for me to not take some umbrage with her as a woman to play the woman card, which is what she's doing. I am honored to be representing this man. Gross.
One of the alleged victims did it for the cuddle.
That's what it was for. They wanted the cuddle. I can't wait to hear Jaguar's thoughts on that. They did it for the cuddle. Jesus.
I literally told my husband and he just shook his head and was like, is he trying to get a mistrial? Is he trying to prove that his counsel is incompetent? Is that going to be the goal here for him? Because what was that?
So this was gross. The defense is opening. They then brought on the LAPD officer, Israel Flores. Can you give us sort of a rundown? This was a security guard at the Intercontinental Hotel. They're clearly leading with the tape because they know you got to get this in their heads immediately because it's bad. Yeah. The Cassie tape is bad. So they brought in the security guard. Want to summarize that for us, Kim?
Yep. So Mr. Flores is now a police officer. Back in 2016, he was a security guard for the hotel where this infamous video took place. And he goes through kind of the sequence of events of what happened. I just want to pull up my notes so I know fully what I'm saying because I thought I had them open with you, but it's okay. It's fine.
He was on his shift that day at the hotel in March of 2016 where surveillance footage showed Kat Combs doing to Cassie. It was around 11 a.m. Flores was called to a woman in distress on the 6th floor. He testified that he recognized Combs, who was in a towel, but did not recognize Cassie at the time. She was scared, he testified. She was in the corner, hood on, covered up. I could see her face. She was pretty much in the corner. On the floor was a destroyed flower vase. You know, because of his primal jealousy. He just needed that phone to get the secrets.
Yeah.
But they forgot about the throwing the vase, right?
So through these interactions, he does go after Cassie. He tries to see if he can help her. He sees that she has a purple eye. He's very very concerned about what is going on. Then she leaves in an SUV, and he goes and speaks with Combs. Combs tries to hand him a sack of money and says, "Don't tell anyone." And he says back to him, "I don't want your money. This is weird." He fills out an incident report naming the both of them. He did not call the police because that no one wanted to press charges. So he didn't feel that that was appropriate, and he was concerned about Cassie's safety. So and I completely understand that. And then at one point, Combs started to get very, very agitated. He thought he was being recorded on a phone. And I just want to make sure that I read this correctly.
He tried to take the phones of the hotel security, but was pinned to the wall. Wow.
Yep. Yep. So it got
He came to the
physical.
door, closed the door behind him. He grabbed the phone my colleague was holding because he thought he was being recorded. He eventually gave the phone back. We said, "We are not recording you," and de-escalated the situation. You know, that primal rage and jealousy that they were talking about.
Yeah. So pin him to the wall, that whole type of thing. Now, this gentleman then had not seen the footage of what happened. He then went and saw the footage, chose to record it on his phone. There were 2 videos that he recorded, and so we, the public, have seen one for the most part, and there is a second one that the jury saw today. And the description that I saw of it was, it shows the officer trying to calm Diddy down while he shouts at Cassie from down the hallway. We see Cassie returning to the entryway of the hotel room saying he wants her phone and belongings. Combs pretty much started to argue again, and I'm trying to de-escalate and tell him to go back in the room. So he records these videos. He wanted to show his wife because he figured she wouldn't believe him. That was why he did it. And then he went into work the following day, and the surveillance footage was gone. So that was his testimony with the prosecution. He was then cross-examined. Honestly, the cross-examination, from what I could tell, was drawn out and stupid. Basically, the lawyer kept asking, like, why aren't there more details in the report? Why aren't there more details in the report? And he just said, I didn't think it was that important. There was some type of a back and forth about Diddy being in the presidential suite. And he just said, presidential suite on the 6th floor? I don't think so, type thing. And I don't think it accomplished anything for the defense.
Yeah, because I mean, how do you cross-examine this? This is awful. Even if you talk about primal rage and jealousy, it doesn't matter. You look like a disgusting monster. This is what they had to address all this, because now we are actually finally hearing from witnesses to make it clear that Cassie wasn't happy. This wasn't Cassie's just cheating and he's mad at her once. No. Even that, well, first of all, just to be clear, even that wouldn't be okay. Would really not be okay. And men like that don't do it once, Kim. I'll say it. I've done a lot of bad things in my day. I haven't always been, I'm a human being. I'm not always the best person. I have never laid my hand on a woman, or anybody really for that matter, but especially a woman. Any guy or woman, anybody who does that does it more than once. I'm sorry, I'll stick by that. That's not my opinion. I really firmly believe that. You don't just do that as a one-off situation. The way that he did that to Cassie, you could tell this man was comfortable with it. This is a man who did it often, especially that since we hear he did it to his desk phone, he did it to the women. Clearly, this man was primal all across the board. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do have to make a quick correction. He did not work the following day. He had 2 days off, and when he came back in, he did look for the video and could not find it. So
interesting.
I apologize. But that's going to happen,
so the
guys.
cross-examination didn't go well, but then a second witness comes up, Daniel Phillip, the male performer, male date. He received money from Cassie to have relations with her in Sean's presence.
Yeah. It sounds like he kind of came in as a dancer, that he was a manager actually at the time, went in to do the gig, and then it became, we'll pay you more money if you do this. And he started to, I think, develop a bit of he was worried about Cassie. That was the vibe I kept getting as he talked. You know, he viewed this as a job. He viewed this as work. But when he saw, you know, her be so terrified, he talks about one instance, and I'll just grab it because It's awful. Unfortunately. This is one of the people who was asked to relieve himself during these acts. There was some conversation that he was constantly asked to use more baby oil. There seemed that they were never using enough. He
Ugh.
was asked on the stand if how many times he was asked to relieve himself. And he started to answer, and there was a lot of objections going on. And he did respond. They told me not to do it all at once, and they would keep him there for hours.
Saving some of his urine.
Yeah. So Philip told the court that Combs would often instruct him on how to perform with Cassie. He started
Which,
really
by the way, sorry to
directing.
interrupt, $5,000 he paid this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of these instructions included role play. There was a weird one. Apparently, they were supposed to role play that they were in an airport and they weren't very good at it, which I think was a little bit silly, but there are a couple little giggles there from that one.
You got to check my bag first, Philip. Jesus, God. I have TSA pre-check. Put me through faster.
Yeah. So he did talk about one time that he believed that Cassie was under the influence of substances and she was just falling over on the couch. She couldn't even sit up straight. And there were a few other things where he could hear potentially what sounded like beatings in another room. She ran out of the room at one point completely naked and collapsed into his lap. There was just so many things. It's like, what an awful situation for everyone to be in. But it sounds like in some ways he wanted to keep tabs on her. He was really worried about her and what he was seeing.
Absolutely sickening. Absolutely sickening. And again, the fact that they had to preface all this. Yeah, he used all the baby oil now we're hearing about. And now the urination, paying someone $5,000 to be with you. I mean, that is wild. That is wild. So around this time, Diddy's daughters left the courtroom. So I guess they were getting disturbed by some of these details because, again, they want to support their dad, I can imagine. But hearing this stuff in order to defend him is like the truth's coming out and he's disgusting. It's disgusting. This isn't the kind of stuff that you're like, oh, he's he and his girlfriend do something weird. No, it is clear Cassie was not okay. And the fact that he put Cassie all through this, now he's trying to claim this was all what they were both into. Nonsense. It is so clear Cassie was suffering through this relationship and completely warped by it all. And yuck. So even I'm glad to hear that his daughters had to leave the courtroom because it was too much. The worker then alleged that Combs gave instructions on how to have relations with Cassie, how to do it, started really directing us after the second time, including the role play, like you said, when to climax. He wanted when to finish. My gosh. So yeah, and then yikes. He opened the door, said, I don't think it's going to happen today. Philip said she looked like she was completely out of it. Half on the couch, yikes. Yeah. So they basically, that to me infers, right, that she was medicated to sort of just do it.
Yeah.
But, it's all about love, Kim. Love. This is all just a big love affair.
Yeah.
Ugh. So go ahead.
The worker did say at one point he was concerned for his life. Combs had actually taken a picture of his driver's license for insurance purposes. And he thought that Combs might have had an in with the police department, which made him scared to go to authorities to say anything. From there...
just before you move on to that, because it's important that it's also wise. Diddy's paying $5,000, which seems like a lot, but he's paying the $5,000 so he can say, see, it was consensual. He took the money. Because if he didn't pay, then there really would be a problem. That would be much harder to argue. But he's paying a large amount to get away with it because then they're taking it, which they feel obligated to take, I imagine, right? And then on top of it, well, see, he took the money. He was clearly okay with it. Imagine that. You show up to Diddy's room with all this stuff, all the pressure, all the weapons, all the security, knowing his powerful access, etc. And imagine telling him no. Like, I don't think you could. I don't think you could say no to this guy, any of these people. And again, this is all Diddy's own defense is acknowledging this through his primal jealousy. My gosh. So how did the cross-examination go on this one? Because you'd think that, do they have anything to say?
From the sounds of it was a hot mess. Something we started noticing was that when weird stuff started being said or like videos started to be shown, the press reporting really slowed down because people were trying to figure out how do I summarize what is happening here, I think. That was my takeaway. But they questioned the escort about many things, including search engine optimization for some reason. Um, why was he chosen to go and be the dancer? Race came into the picture at one point. It was weird. Um, and then at the very end, there was this explicit photograph, apparently, of Cassie that was brought out. And the defense was trying to be like, oh, see, she liked it type thing. And it was like, it seemed so demented at the end. And it will continue tomorrow. Will continue tomorrow, and it is expected that Cassie will very likely take the stand tomorrow.
The one and only Jaguar Wright just heard us and just popped in. Are you there, Jaguar?
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. It's
Can
good
you
to see
see me?
It's been too long. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It looks like we're finally getting some justice against Diddy.
Well, we're definitely headed down the right path.
Today's we were just doing our recap, which we just wrapped up, so perfect timing as you popped in. There was one part I wanted to get from you.
Yeah.
Kim pulled a part. I gotta find it. Hold on. What was the line, Kim? It was here. They did it all for the
You gotta
cuddle.
give me more. Oh, in the opening statements when they were speaking about one of the Jane Does, and there was a quote there that basically just said that she did it for the cuddle. She put up with all of this for the cuddle. And as soon as I read that, Andy was like, I got to hear what Jaguar thinks of this. What did you think of the defense's opening statement from what you've heard?
This is what the justification that, they all wanted it. They wanted his cuddles, Jaguar. How infuriating is that to hear his team try to play it like that?
Well, you guys know I'm not very religious, but I'm highly spiritual.
Yes.
And it makes me think of the name he tried to assume. He's the guy that gave love a bad name.
Yep.
Love is patient, love is kind. Not Diddy. Love is not boastful, love is not loud. Love believe all things, hopes all things. But no, not Diddy. So it's just, ain't no love in the heart of the city, I guess. And I hate the fact that all of my punchlines are records, but I think it's fitting. It's hogwash. It's total poppycock.
Absolutely.
To sit there and say that, hey, this is just your typical average run-of-the-mill dysfunctional relationship with a hint of violence. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of disgusting.
It's like he has primal jealousy, as if they like that excuses it.
Like animal. Well, I mean, last week it was affluenza. I guess that didn't work.
No.
So they came back. They went from affluenza to this is just tough love.
Yeah. It's just natural. It's just primal.
Yeah, it is for animals.
Ridiculous.
Yeah,
what was your vibe outside of the courtroom this morning? I saw you.
Yeah, you were there. Kudos.
Yeah, you were there. What did you kind of take away from there? Because I think sometimes you can kind of get a vibe where there are a lot of people that were more just like they wanted to see how this was going to go, or were they more one side or the other? I saw a ventriloquist at one point.
There's all kinds of stuff.
Like?
If I had known that, I would have brought Jaquilla. We could have had a tandem. I got a Muppet.
Yeah. I have to say that was not on my bingo card for this.
Yeah, well, listen to me. I think I told everyone, including you guys, before Christmas, before Diddy's nuts, roasting on an open fire, before all of that. And by the way, Andy, you killed it. I wish I could have been there to sing it with you.
Next time. We still got to do Man on the Mirror. It's happening someday.
Yeah. Yes. The trans in the mirror. So, for the profane gospel of it all. But seriously, I was there because I'm starting my show and we were filming the pilot. So I really wanted to get a lay of the land on what was going on. And I had a really interesting moment with the prosecutor, the lead prosecutor. She's pretty fabulous. And you know, it's people are intensely worried about the trial, but yet you walk out into the streets of Manhattan and nobody gives a damn. Matter of fact, nobody gives a damn. Even the mentally insane woman who told me that she was the real Cassie, and she wanted me to go back and ask Cassie why she was fronting and impersonating in her name. Even she said this doesn't matter in her real life. And it's funny to be in a place where this is the biggest trial, and yet you walk 2 blocks away and nobody gives a damn. You know, there's a lot of pomp and circumstance there around the courthouse. And we were there before everyone got there doing B-roll. And I just think that people are capping, you know? All of what they're saying online is not what this is looking like in real life. And that's probably part of the reason why a lot of people are having a hard time with me being there, because they know I'm going to call it for what it is and I'm going to put it out accurate. There were a lot of YouTubers there. That was interesting.
They were holding spots in line. Did you see any of that? I hear there's a lot of drama
and
with these paying the line holders. Did you see any of that?
They were doing that was to get inside. But the thing is, even if you're inside that courtroom, we're not getting anything that any of these people can tell you. It's just there's a lot of dog and pony show, but what I can tell you is the prosecution is serious.
Yeah.
They're very serious and they're not worried. People should take that into account.
What's your worry about Jane Doe number 3? There was a lot of press this morning saying, oh, it's all going to fall apart because Jane Doe 3 is now gone MIA. Do you have any concerns?
I don't think that's going to be an issue. And I think that people aren't giving the federal government credit for being as smart as they are.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I think that the federal government is going to have to do a bunch of unpredictable things to stay ahead of the fray and make sure that the case doesn't go off, you know, the deep end. Meanwhile, you have Drewski coming forward now, ready to go after Ashley Parham. All of this time.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. I will say I was nervous about how this was going to go until I heard that opening statement with the defense. I have never heard anything like that in my life. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Didn't I tell you that everything leading up to this trial and after was going to be Sesame Street? La La Land. These people aren't playing in reality. They're playing poke and hope with the federal government.
Jaguar, I want to give a bit of this because I want to see your reaction. This case is about love, jealousy, and money. They're trying to turn it into a racketeering case. It will not work. You are the jury. You will evaluate the witnesses, and the story that comes out isn't what you heard on the news. Sean Combs is fascinating. He grew up in Harlem and built a lawful business. He worked for it. He created culture. He created a culture, Jaguar, and produced music that changed a generation. They'll share that he was a fascinating person who people are drawn to.
And you want to know what? Like in the 8th realm of hell, all of that is true. But here on planet Earth, here in this dimension, they all need psych evals, you know?
They do.
You want to know what's crazy? They went and they got that woman, the new attorney, the victim attorney.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know what was sad? Watching her walk by me this morning on her way to the courthouse to check in a pair of brand new Christian Louboutins that she couldn't even walk in. Her ankles were about to break with every step. And I said, this is what you did it for.
Yeah.
This is what you did for shoes. You can't even walk in. I know you just bought them, man. Or they had a stylist come bring them.
What do you think of, is it Tenny Garagos? Tenny's out there, the woman, the face of his team, who's a woman, coming out here and saying, if you wanted to climb in music, apparel, or beverages, you wanted to be around Sean. He gave people opportunities to work. He had a vision few had. The witnesses mostly loved him. The text message will show it. I, Tenny Garagos, am honored to represent him. She's honored. What do you think of that, Jag?
I think she needs a psych eval. I think they've all lost their minds. You want to know what's sad? When I went out into the world and I was talking to real New Yorkers about how they felt about this case, and they let me know how little they cared about, I think that's why they feel comfortable with doing these statements. Because they know that the people that they're marketing them to don't care and ain't paying attention, no how. I mean, the one thing that I got is that everyone feels like in the history of this town, if he got away with what he did to Natanya Rubin, why can't he get away with this? It's really kind of sad when you think about it, that there's been this much corruption for this long, that people aren't even expecting justice. They just want all these weirdos to get out of their town.
Speaking of weirdos, and I hate to share all this stuff, but it's just like I have to applaud
No, let's
Cassie.
talk. We're in a support group.
This all coming out now, talking about the urine and with Cassie, like the headlines are all over. Like, it's so sad and gross that Cassie's got to relive all this, but also I'm just so inspired and amazed that she knew all this was going to come, and she's like, I don't care, we're putting this man away. And so, while you know, it's got to be awful reading it. How do you think she's feeling? She must be empowered at this point,
pregnant.
knowing it doesn't matter. We're finally putting them away.
She's very pregnant. Very pregnant.
Very pregnant.
You know, I heard a weirdo online the night that she flew into New York, threatening her, talking about they know her family, where she's from, threatening her husband, calling him the help, and he must have called her a bitch at least 80 million times, and then started talking about this and because she's a whore, and who cares if she's pregnant? Who cares about her bump? Whores have babies. And I'm like, and then he compared her to Marion Magdalene, and I'm like, whoa. It's the intimidation for me, and I'm proud of her. And I'm proud of the fact that the man that she left the diddler finally for, because as some of the witnesses will be hearing from, she attempted to see other people. He just made it kind of difficult. And the one person that didn't quit on her, the one person that made sure she believed in herself, is the person that made her a wife when Diddy only made her a paramour. He made her a mother when Diddy only made her, you know, an unwitting, you know, victim in his little special movies. I think she's great because she gets to go home, and she gets to go home to two little people who know nothing about this, who are there with mommy and daddy. Mother's Day just passed. I think she's gonna be okay. I think she's just ready. It's terrible what's happening to her, but I hope people are paying attention to what's happening to her, because they have absolutely no respect for humanity, motherhood, or life.
Yeah, I think this is kind of one of these situations where, to me, it is so abundantly clear through evidence, even as we begin this trial, that Cassie is absolutely a victim here. But what we are seeing, I think, is that incredible transition that some victims make into survivor. And that's exactly what she's doing. And the strength that takes is, I mean, it's very difficult to describe. And the fact that she's doing this on such a world stage with so much judgment, and there's going to be all these headlines about her, and people are going to say horrible things about her and discredit her.
Yeah, but this has to be so much better, though, sweetie, than considering how people were talking about her behind her back when she was supposed to be having the time of her life.
Yeah.
I think people tend to forget that. They might be talking about her now, but before, they were making fun of her and knowing what was happening to her, passing videos around of the things that happened, that she was ushered into by a man who isn't capable of loving anyone, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That has to be worse than this, because at least she's standing up for something. She's standing up for herself for the first time in her adult life. Like, how is nobody seeing this?
It's amazing. And honestly, I think it is, I am so proud of her just like as a woman to see this strength. I think it is so good for us to see that,
She's
you
a mama
can.
bear now.
Yeah.
That
And
she
you,
wasn't that before. She's
yeah.
that now.
Yeah. But just knowing as we see how scared all of these people are of him,
Yeah.
her strength is incredible. And I think that's something we really have to focus on while we go through this trial, even when there's all this other mess going on around
Well,
us.
that was part of why I wanted my presence there, why
Mhm.
I wanted to just have a moment with the prosecutor and let her know that there is a whole audience of people out here that are praying for her, praying for their case to be heard fairly, praying for the jury. And she just grabbed me and she hugged me and she said, "Thank you." I told her I was praying for her safety, and she said she was doing the same for mine. And she looked around at my security detail. These are big moments for women. Big moments. Bravo to women,
Yeah.
real women, women who don't sell other women out to some guy named Love, weirdo Diddy.
Weirdo named Love.
Business.
Guys, BJ joined. We had to try to trim some of it. I don't know where I trimmed it. Watch the full show, but I'm trying to keep these contained so you can get like an hour-long show. But I'm going around to wrap it up. Jag, what is your prediction? You've made a lot of predictions that have been accurate. What do you think we are in store for?
I think we can, in my opinion, I think a member of Diddy's legal team is going to have to stand down really soon. I think he's about to lose another lawyer in the next 10 days or so. That's what I think from what I'm hearing.
That's interesting.
BJ, what do you think?
There's a lot of tomfoolery happening, and that's been happening in that courthouse. And yeah, it's like I said, these opening statements, and all I can say is I hope, you know, that honor doesn't turn into disbarment. I'm hoping. Be sad.
Well,
Wait, are
also
you
said-
really? Are you being sarcastic? You kind of hope it does a little bit.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm just.
You also said you think a lot of people on Diddy's side who were on Diddy's side, people in high positions, will rat on him and potentially be speaking.
Oh, that's definitely happening.
I could see that.
Wow.
Because I could
I
see that
just
too.
wish Diddy had to listen to me last year. If he had told him the truth about someone that he and I both know is dirty as hell, that doesn't even acknowledge him in public anymore, it might not have went this bad for him.
Well, I'm glad it's going bad.
I know
for him,
you're
for
not
the record.
mentioning any names, but does it rhyme with Jay-Z?
It rhymes with crazy, yeah.
Great. Oh, close enough. BJ, what are your predictions?
Oh, I mean, I don't have. Who knows? Honestly, I did not think that Diddy was even going to be held in jail. I thought he was going to get out on bail. So I've been wrong with my predictions. I'm just going to be following along each and every single day.
I told you I prayed for it, BJ.
I'm trying to lure Jaguar. I'm trying to trick her into telling me some insider secrets, real, because she ain't. She's pretty strong on it. She's holding pretty firm. So that's my predictions. I'm gonna just keep following along and
listen to me. I know how to write notes.
Write them notes.
Write those notes. Follow That Surprise Witness. She's doing the daily streams.
No, I won't be
Kim,
going
you
every
watched
day
all day
because-
today as well. What was your final takeaway?
Kim,
What's your
yes.
prediction?
I walked into today very nervous about how this was going to go. I have lost a lot of faith in the defense based on what we heard in that opening statement. I think it's going to be very interesting over the next few weeks. If there is one thing I have learned following this case and Diddyverse and Diddygate and everything else is expect the unexpected and hold on. So that's what I'm getting ready to do. That's it.
Sound like Julie Chan and Big Brother. Expect the unexpected. That's what's going to happen here. Wicked NC says, missed you guys. We too. And Katie Walk, yes, Diddy coverage. I'm here for it. I know. It's nice to have a different story from the Justin Blake drama, but we'll be covering it all. We can do it all. But it's nice to have a break. This is a serious topic. I'm glad you guys are tuning in. A lot of you guys weren't for a while there, but we've stuck on it. You can follow That Surprise Witness and doing more. Jag will be out there doing her own coverage, it looks like, as well, doing some stuff she's shooting herself. So excited to see that. Kim and I will be with you here throughout the week, giving you more recaps. I hope you guys come back. Please, Jag, BJ, anytime. We'll try to get some other guests, Natanya, others in here throughout the week as we do our coverage. So make sure, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for all alerts, smash that thumbs up, and leave your comments down below. Appreciate all you guys are watching. Kim, we should definitely start our podcast. I feel like this is the perfect time to get our podcast up. So these recaps can can be on the audio as well because they're going to be a little bit
That
longer.
part.
So
That
I
could
will
be
try
fun.
to see if we can get that going as well. So stay tuned. Look at maybe we did by day 3 or we got them all up. Stay tuned.
Well, if you figure
but
it out,
appreciate you
text me
guys.
how it
What was
works,
that?
'cause I want to do. If you figure it out, text me how it works because I should probably
We'll
do
let
that
you
too.
know. We'll let you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, because I figured the recaps are good for it. Tell us would you like that in the comments on Spotify or Apple or wherever you do podcasts. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. We weren't supposed to be live today, but we were. I guess we'll be live every day. Oh God, I don't know how. We'll figure it out. Diddy's drain pulling me back in, but that's what we do.
Hold on
So
to your butts.
hold on to those butts. Diddy Gate is back here on Popcorn Planet. I appreciate all you guys are watching. Make sure you click on these videos, subscribe to those beautiful people who came in, and stay tuned. We got a lot more coming your way here on Popcorn Planet.